It was just past 6:30 in the evening when the first call came in. A soft drizzle had begun to fall over the narrow streets of the town, and the sky was painted in hues of gray and gold. The voice on the other end of the line was trembling, filled with concern. "There's an old woman wandering near the park," the caller said. "She looks lost and confused." The dispatcher noted the details and assured the caller that someone would check on her. By 7 p.m., 2 more calls had come in, each describing the same elderly woman. She was seen near the old train station, then by the riverbank, always alone, always looking around as if searching for something, or someone. The descriptions were consistent: silver hair neatly tied back, a faded blue coat, and eyes that seemed both vacant and searching. Officer Malik was dispatched to the area. He found her sitting on a bench near the closed-down cafe, her hands clasped tightly in her lap. "Good evening, ma'am," he greeted gently. She looked up, her eyes meeting his with a mix of relief and confusion. "I can't find my way home," she whispered. "Everything looks so different." He offered her a warm smile and a comforting hand. "Let's get you somewhere safe," he said. As they walked to his patrol car, she paused and looked back at the bench. "I was waiting for someone," she murmured, more to herself than to him. At the station, she was given a warm blanket and a cup of tea. She introduced herself as Mrs. Eleanor Thompson. She spoke of a house on Maple Street, of a husband named George, and of a daughter who had just started school. But records showed no such residence, no recent listings under her name, and Maple Street had been renamed decades ago. Social services were contacted, and efforts were made to locate any family members. Meanwhile, Mrs. Thompson remained at the station, her demeanor calm but distant. She often gazed out the window as if expecting someone to arrive. The next morning, a young woman named Clara visited the station. She had seen a post on social media about the found woman and came to see if she could help. Upon seeing Mrs. Thompson, Clara's eyes welled up with tears. "That's my grandmother," she said. "She went missing 10 years ago." "But how could that be?" Mrs. Thompson hadn't aged a day since the photo Clara showed them, dated a decade prior. The mystery deepened as they tried to piece together the events of the past 24 hours. As the day unfolded, more questions arose. Where had Mrs. Thompson been all these years? How did she return without any signs of aging? And why did she believe it was still the same year she disappeared? The answers remained elusive, and the town buzzed with speculation. Some believed it was a miracle, others a mystery beyond comprehension. But one thing was certain: Mrs. Thompson's return had stirred something in the town, a blend of hope, wonder, and a touch of unease. And as night fell once more, Mrs. Thompson sat by the window, gazing into the darkness, whispering a name no one recognized, waiting for someone only she remembered. The days that followed were quiet in the town, but not in the hearts of the people. Word of the old woman's strange appearance at the bus stop spread quickly, from the market counters to the schoolyards. Some said she might be from another city. Others whispered about memory loss or family troubles. But no one really knew, and no one came forward to claim her. Inside the small shelter home where she now stayed, Sister Marianne tried gently every morning to draw something from her: a name, a place, a face. But the old woman only smiled, soft and distant, as if the world she once knew had folded away behind a fog too thick to reach through. Still, she was gentle, kind to everyone, and always seemed to wait by the window every evening, as though someone might finally come. The shelter staff began calling her Amma, which means mother in many languages, and she never protested. In fact, when little Mira, a child staying at the shelter temporarily, called her Amma by accident, the woman had smiled and placed a hand softly on her cheek. That moment left something in the air, a warmth that lingered long after. But as time passed, Sister Marianne couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to Amma's story. Her clothes, though worn, were made of a finer fabric than most of the residents wore. Her hands, while aged, had the look of someone who had spent most of her life reading or writing, not toiling in hard labor. And the way she flinched, barely, but enough. When someone raised their voice, told of a history not marked by poverty, but by silence. She had not been lost from the world, Marianne thought, but maybe hidden from it. Meanwhile, in the nearby city, a man named Rajiv Kapoor sat behind a wide desk in a glass-walled office, staring at an old photograph. It was faded now, worn at the edges, but he knew every detail of it by heart. The woman in the picture stood tall, her sari neatly pleated, her smile full of life. His mother. Gone now for 6 months, or so everyone believed. The day she vanished had been quiet, ordinary. She'd stepped out to go for a walk in the park like she always did, but she never came back. Police had searched. Posters had gone up. Volunteers had looked in every corner, but there had been no trace. Everyone told Rajiv she must have fallen or wandered off. That sometimes the mind forgets even the most important things. That grief doesn't always come with a reason, but he never believed that. His mother, Devika Kapoor, was sharp, strong-willed, and though she had grown quieter in the years since his father's death, she had never once lost her way. So he kept looking, quietly, using every contact he had. A friend in the transport department, a favor from someone in city records, and that week finally, something strange showed up. A report from a town 2 hours away, an elderly woman found alone at a bus stop, confused, carrying no ID, no name, only a worn prayer book in her pocket, and the initials DK etched faintly inside. Rajiv didn't say a word to his staff. He didn't even call ahead. He just got in his car and drove. His hands trembled on the steering wheel. Part fear, part hope. What if it was her? What if it wasn't? And if it was, what would he even say? Back in the town, Amma had started humming a tune. No one recognized it. Soft, lilting, like a lullaby from another time. Mira had taken to sitting by her side, humming along even though she didn't know the words. Something about the tune made people pause, made them feel. And even though they didn't know who she was, Amma felt like someone who belonged. That evening, as the sun dipped low and the shelter's small dinner bell rang, Sister Marianne noticed a car pull up outside. It wasn't the usual delivery van. This was a sleek, dark car, city plates, the kind that didn't often stop here. A tall man stepped out, dressed not like a visitor, but someone who had lost sleep for days. His eyes scanned the building, then settled on the window where Amma sat. She didn't see him at first. Her eyes were on the trees, the birds. But something shifted in her posture, a tension in her shoulders. And when Rajiv stepped through the door and saw her, he froze. His voice caught barely a whisper. "Ma!" Everyone else in the room turned. Amma looked at him, her face unreadable. For a long moment, there was nothing but silence. Not even Mira moved. Then slowly, Amma stood. Her hand trembled. She stepped closer, eyes locked on his face. And then she spoke, for the first time in days. "Ravi?" Rajiv's breath hitched. No one called him that anymore, only his mother. His throat burned. "It's me, Ma. It's me." But she frowned just slightly. "You were smaller," she said, a confused smile pulling at her lips. "Always losing your shoes." Tears welled in his eyes. "I grew up, Ma, but I never stopped looking for you." There was a flicker behind her eyes then. Recognition, maybe, or memory trying to fight its way back. She touched his face, gentle, curious. "You have your father's eyes," she said quietly. Rajiv broke down, right there, in front of everyone, but even as the room seemed to breathe again, Sister Marianne watched Amma closely. There was something still clouded behind her expression, a confusion that hadn't lifted. She recognized him, and yet, not completely, like someone trying to finish a puzzle with missing pieces. And that's when Rajiv opened his briefcase. "I brought something," he said. He pulled out a small, faded red journal. "This was yours. You wrote in it every night." Amma looked at it, her fingers twitching. Then slowly she reached for it, flipped it open, and stared at the words. "Inside." Her eyes widened, her lips parted, and then she gasped. Her knees buckled, but Rajiv caught her. She looked up at him, and now the fog was lifting. She whispered, He told me to run, that night, but I didn't want to believe him. Rajiv froze. Who, Ma? Her voice trembled. Your uncle. He said your father was in danger, but I thought it was nonsense. Until they... She couldn't finish. Sister Marianne stepped forward. Devika, it's okay. You're safe now. But Devika shook her head. I wasn't lost. I was hiding. Rajiv paled. From what? And then came a knock at the shelters. Door, a hard, deliberate knock. Not a visitor, not a guest. Someone looking for something, or someone. Inside, no one moved. Outside, footsteps shuffled. The old woman clutched the journal to her chest. He knows, she said. He knows I remember. The suspense wrapped around the room like thick smoke. The shelter, once quiet and warm, now felt too small, too exposed. Sister Marianne stepped toward the door, heart thudding in her chest. Rajiv pulled his mother behind him, and Mira, unnoticed, had quietly picked up the prayer book from Amma's seat, running her fingers over the initials. And everyone, held their breath, waiting for what would come next. The knock echoed again, firmer this time. Rajiv stepped in front of his mother, his hand subtly reaching for his phone, thumb hovering above. The emergency dial. Sister Marianne, heart racing, placed a calming hand on his arm. We don't know who it is yet, she whispered, but Devika's face said otherwise. Her eyes, once clouded by time and confusion, now burned with clarity. It's him, she said softly. I know that knock. Rajiv's breath caught. Who, Ma? Who is it? She hesitated, her voice trembling. Your uncle, your father's brother, Vimal. Rajiv blinked. But Uncle Vimal died years ago, didn't he? Devika slowly shook her head. That's what he wanted us to believe. The door creaked open before anyone could stop it. It wasn't Vimal standing there, but a tall, thin man in a beige jacket, with eyes sharp as glass and a limp in his right leg. Behind him, a black car idled on the street. No license plate on the front. He smiled, cold and casual. Devika, he said. Still remembering things you shouldn't? Sister Marianne stepped forward, her tone firm. I'm sorry, sir. This is a private shelter. If you're not here for assistance, I'm here for family. He cut, in smoothly, eyes sliding past her to Rajiv. You must be Ravi. Rajiv's fists clenched. It's Rajiv, and I don't remember inviting you. Devika's hands trembled as she clutched her son's arm. He was there the night your father died, she whispered. He knew things, made threats. When I started asking questions, he warned me to stop. The man stepped inside, unbothered by the tension. I came to check on her, he said, voice low and deliberate. She wandered off, and I've been searching everywhere. We were close, you know. After your father passed. You're lying, Rajiv said. We have the journal. Her memories are coming back. The man's smile thinned. That's the problem with memory. It's tricky. Slippery. Devika straightened then, pulling herself free from her son's side. She walked slowly toward the man, eyes fixed on him, not with fear now, but with something stronger. I was afraid of you, she said. You made me doubt myself, gaslighted me. But I remember everything now. You came the night Aaron died. Said it was an accident. But it wasn't. His jaw tightened, a flicker of anger crossing his face. Careful, Devika. You're not well. No, she said calmly. But I am finally clear. Rajiv pulled out the voice recorder on his phone. She's telling the truth now, and this conversation, it's being recorded. So keep talking if you want to confess anything else. The man's eyes darkened. For a second, it looked like he might lunge, but Sister Marianne stepped between them, holding up her hand. You need to leave. This is a place of safety, and you are not welcome here. A tense beat passed. Then the man laughed, hollow and mean. You think this changes anything? The world doesn't care about some half-lost old woman and her stories. But, as he turned to leave, 2 police officers approached from the street. One of the younger volunteers, alarmed by the earlier tension, had quietly called them. They asked for his ID. He balked, tried to walk past, but one officer stepped in front of him. "Sir, we've been looking into a cold case connected to Mr. Aaron Kapoor's death," one of them said. "A tip just came in, and it matches your description." As they led him away, Devika stood in the doorway, tears running silently down her face. Not from fear this time, but from the slow, strange relief that comes when a long-held truth finally breathes in the open. Inside the shelter, the atmosphere softened. Mira wrapped her small hand around Devika's. Rajiv, exhausted and overwhelmed, sat beside them both and just held his mother. No words, just presence, healing in its purest form. In the weeks that followed, Devika's memories returned more, steadily. She was not entirely the same as before. Age and trauma leave their marks, but she was whole in a way she hadn't been in years. Rajiv began the process of moving her home, but they both agreed she would still spend weekends at the shelter with Mira, with Sister Marianne, with the place that had found her when the world forgot. The old journal was donated to the town library as part of a new exhibit on memory, resilience, and justice. A few pages stayed missing, but the most important one remained. The page where Devika had written, "If I vanish, don't assume I'm lost. Assume I remember." The story of the lost old woman became something more than a tale of disappearance. It became a reminder to believe the quiet ones, to listen when people speak in fragments, and to never stop searching for those who matter, even when the trail goes cold. And as for little Mira, who had once only known Devika as Amma, she now had a real grandmother in her life and a safe space where songs were sung again, not because someone remembered all the words, but because sometimes love is enough to carry the tune. Because sometimes the lost are not meant to be found by the world, but by the people who choose to see them. And sometimes, the most powerful truth is the one whispered by a voice everyone had forgotten, until it spoke again. If this story touched your heart, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell. You never know which story might reach the one person who needs it most. And Mira, unnoticed, had quietly picked up the prayer book from Amma's seat, running her fingers over the initials.